Hey guys, thank you for joining in. My name is Joel. I'm from Vulcan Catering Equipment, and today I'm gonna show you the Vulcan ice cream machine. So the reason for the video is because you've just purchased or you just got the Vulcan ice cream machine, and now I need to teach you how to disassemble and reassemble when the machine needs to be cleaned. Okay, take note that the machine needs to be cleaned only once every 14 days. So after the machine is used for the first time, you count 14 days thereafter, then you do your cleaning process. So what I'm going to do is, there are 3 parts that needs to be cleaned on this machine. We've got the hopper, we've got the pump. The hopper and the pump are together at the top of the machine. Then we've got the door as well as the beater. They need to be cleaned. So I'm going to show you how to disassemble the pump, how to reassemble after cleaning, then disassemble the door as well as your beater within your chamber, and then reassemble so that we can start the beautiful ice cream making process that this machine does. Okay, so what you're going to need for the cleaning, you're going to need some latex gloves. Okay, then with your machine, we have your service kit, which contains your user manual, as well as all your spare rings and parts for your beater, your chamber, and your pump. And then we've got the lubricant, which you will use to lubricate all the parts, all the O-rings of the door, as well as the pump. So it's a beautiful machine. It works wonderfully. All you got to do is just follow these steps, and the ice cream making will be effortless. Okay. So thank you. Without further ado, let's jump into it. Thank you guys. So here we go. Now we're going to disassemble and reassemble the pump of the Vulcan ice cream machine. So if you have a look here, you'll see this is your pump, this here. This is your agitator. So this agitates your ice cream. Okay, so when you're cleaning the machine, what you'll do is you'll remove the agitator. Right? So now you've got a clear view of the pump system. There we go. That is the pump system. Ain't she a beauty? Okay, so now we're going to disassemble our pump because we're going to clean our ice cream machine. It's quite simple to disassemble the pump. Let's start like this. Okay, there we go. So now you've got your feeder pipe. You've got your suction pipe, you've got the front of your pump and the main part of your pump, right? So now what we're going to do is, when you want to disassemble your pump, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to unscrew your feeder pipe, just like I'm doing here. So what you'll do is you'll unscrew it, it drops down. You'll turn your pipe to the side, as you can see, and all you got to do is lift it up. So it comes out of that hole. You lift it up, you can set that aside. So this is what your feeder pipe looks like. So you will set that aside. Then, to take off the face of the pump, it's quite simple. You've got one screw over here. You loosen that screw. You'll set that aside. The other screw. You'll loosen that one. Set that aside. Now all we need to do is to remove the face of the pump. You just pull it forward and it slips off. That's the face of the pump. Okay, we'll set that aside for now. Then we've got the pump itself. All that you do is it slips right off. So I want you to take note, on the shaft here there's a triangle shape here. On the gears of the pump, there are 2 plastic gears, including your O-ring. There's a triangle shape. So when you're going to put it back, you need to make sure that they are set in their correct place. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you disassemble your pump. Okay guys, so now that we've got our pump disassembled, this is what it's going to look like, right? So now we need to disassemble it even further because we need to clean it. Quite simple process. I'll show you quickly. So this, as I said, is your pump, and this is the face of your pump. So what we're going to do is we need to have the O-ring removed. So you can use a little something. Let's have, so that's your O-ring there. Then we've got your two gears. So I just put my finger in there. So that's your pump, and that's your two rings disassembled. Pump, two rings. Now we need to disassemble the face. So what we do is you'll notice here that there are 4 selectors. 1, 2, 3, 4. From smallest all the way to biggest. On the sides here you'll notice that there are little notches. Right? That is your selector notches. Then we've got the selector here. That is, you determine then how much air you want to go into your mix by selecting this, right? So in order to disassemble this, you'll notice that here there's a little notch. So you turn, you press down, and you turn it. So what we do is we turn it until it, there we go, until it comes, and then it pops out. It will come through this notch over here. So then it will pop right out. On the inside, we've got a spring with a rubber, right? So that you take out. Okay, got your valve selector there. Then we've got the face. There's an O-ring here in front, and there's the pipe. So all you do is you push your pipe, and then it comes out. And just like that, your pump is completely disassembled. So what you'll do is you'll wash it. As soon as you've done washing it, what you'll then do is you'll take your lubricant. As I said, this is your lubricant. And then you'll need to lubricate everything again. So let's do the lubrication. So you'll take a little lubricant on your finger. What you do is you then ensure that all your O-rings are lubricated. Okay, put a little lubricant on there. Thereafter, what you do is you slip it in the top there. When it comes there, you just press it down, pull the pipe out all the way to the bottom. Now the reason for the gloves, ladies and gentlemen, is because of the lubricant. Right. So we just clean that off a little bit there, put some of the lubricant here on this O-ring as well. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take a little more lubricant. We're going to lubricate this little baby over here, the spring, which will then, once you take the face of your pump, it goes in there. Right, so we leave that. Then we got the valve selector. So remember, what we're doing now is we're putting everything back together after we've cleaned it and dried it off, right? Then what you're going to do is everywhere where there's an O-ring, you're going to apply a nice generous amount of lubricant because you want your O-rings to last. Okay, once you've done that, over the spring it goes in. It goes into there. Then what we do is we look for the notch. Remember I said there's that notch there. So once we press it down, it goes past, and then you put it on your selector. So I like using the small one because the smaller, the thicker your mix is, the smaller your air valve selector is, just so that it can suck up the mix, right? Then we've got, so this is the back of your pump, right? So as you can see inside there are 2 green O-rings. So I suggest, and what is advisable, because those go over the shaft, you take a little on your pinky, like I'm doing right now, and you lubricate on the inside of the shaft. Right, you lubricate nicely, done. Then you take a little bit more. This is your O-ring that goes on the front. So then we're going to lubricate our O-ring. Once that is done, we're going to put our O-ring in place, just like that. Now take note, there's a round hole, there's a gear with a round hole and the gear with a triangle. So the gear with a round hole goes onto the round fitting, like that. The gear with a triangle, remember there's a hollow back and a solid front. The hollow back faces the hollow. And there we go. Your pump is reassembled as well as the face. Okay, let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, this is your feeder pipe. You notice that there are two O-rings here. So what we're going to do is we are going to lubricate those O-rings as well. As I said, it is important to lubricate them because this ensures that the lifespan of your rings, that they last longer. Okay, so there we go, ladies and gentlemen. The pump is cleaned. It's been reassembled. So now we're going to put it back in the machine. Okay guys, so now we're going to put the pump back into the ice cream machine. So this is what your ice cream machine is going to look at. You're going to have the face of your pump there. You're going to have your screws. There is the back of your pump. There's your feeder pipe. There's your feeder pipe hole and the shaft for the agitator. Okay, so now we're going to put everything back into place, which is a very easy process. Okay, so let's just do that quickly. There we go. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to find our agitator, which we'll put one side. Now we're going to put our pump back together. So remember, I told you that you need to take note of the shape. So the triangle shaped, the shaft has a triangle shape as well. So what you do is you fit your pump as such, and you need to ensure that the triangle lines up, and once it does, your shaft will go inside. So that is what it will look like. Let's just do that. So that is what you want the back of the pump to look like. Right. So now we're going to then put the face of the pump back on. So here's the face of the pump. Okay, so we're going to then put that on, just like that. Screw one. Going to tighten our first screw. Tighten our second screw. Okay, we make it nice and tight. Tying it, there we go. Both our screws are on. So what you want to do is you want to ensure that, as you can see the back there are no gaps. There are no gaps. Okay, so that is what your pump is going to look like once you've put the door, well, the back of the pump and the face. Then what you're going to do is you're going to get your feeder pipe. So remember I said your feeder pipe, all that you do is that goes into that hole. As such, you're going to line it up with the face. Once it's lined up, all you got to do is just take the screw and then you screw the feeder pipe back on. You're going to take your agitator. So you're going to put it in. Now you see I'm turning it a bit because it will click in once it lines up. There we go. So we do that again. There we go. So you want to ensure that it clicks into position. Our pump has been reassembled. Agitator is back in place. Feeder pipe. Our screws are nice and tight. And there we go. Our pump has been reassembled. So now, ladies and gentlemen, after we've done with the pump, now we're going to jump to the door. Disassembling of the door is quite simple. Let's just do that. It's very simple. It only has 4 screws. right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 screws. So what we're going to do is we're going to loosen them. So we start by loosening the first screw. That's 1. Second screw. That's 2. Third screw. You'll notice that they are a bit tight, and there is a reason for that. Is because you want to ensure, you'll see that there's an O-ring here around. You want to ensure that when you're putting it back that you do tighten them. You make them nice and tight. That's just to avoid your mix leaking out on the sides. And also if any air goes into your chamber, it will cause issues when making your ice cream. There we go. So once we've got that, let's just do our last screw. And there we go. So all you need to do for this part, it's quite simple. You just pull it forward. It comes off. So your door consists of your star fitting. This is to give the ice cream its shape when you dispense ice cream. It's got your handle. It's got the pin to keep the handle in place. And then we've got a piston on the inside. So we've got the piston, and here's your door O-ring, which comes like that. Okay, so that is your door, ladies and gentlemen. And then behind the door, what we have is, we have your beater. So this is your beater. All you do is, once your door is off, you just reach in, pull your beater out. That's your beater, right? You pull that out, and as you can see, your chamber has been emptied. You can clean nicely inside there, clean it nicely out, clean the front here, and now we're going to disassemble our door and our beater and reassemble. Just an important note, when you're cleaning the ice cream machine, you need to ensure, now these are the pieces that you're looking at here. That's the piston for the door. That's the face of the pump. That's the feeder pipe. That's the air selector. And this here is the feeder tube that feeds the ice cream. So this sucks the ice cream. This feeds the ice cream into the chamber. So what you need to do is, I'm going to show you now, you need to ensure that when you clean the machine after 14 days, that the O-rings on these parts specifically, because they get covered in soft serve mix, it needs to be removed and cleaned. So what you'll do is, you'll need a tool such as this, and then you take the part, and all you do is you slip it in to the bottom and remove it. So as I did there, you remove these from the parts, clean the parts out, and then you just slip it back on once you've lubricated the parts. Same here, it's got the little O-ring in front. All you do is you just slip it in like that. And then it comes out just like that. Okay, once it's lubricated, you can then just put it back into position, and then all good. Same goes with this one. There's a little O-ring there. So what we do is just slip it underneath there and remove. And then you clean that, lubricate and put back. Likewise with the air selector valve, you just slip in and remove. But now this one, you can't take it up. You'll have to slip in like that and remove that way. There we go. And then once it's off, you'll just clean this and put back. Likewise, this you remove, and then these ones, these 1, 2, yeah, you just slip in and take off, just like that. And then to put it back on, It's quite simple. You'll lubricate and then just put it back on. There we go. So that you do once every 14 days whenever you clean the machine. When you give it a thorough cleaning, you remove those O-rings, clean it, and then you lubricate and put them back into position. That also prolongs the O-rings, the quality of the O-rings, and it ensures that underneath those O-rings that there's no buildup. And our beater and reassemble them. Okay, so now that we've got our door and our beater disassembled, we're going to even disassemble it further. So what we do is we pull that pin, right? That's the pin you pull out. That's to keep the handle in place. Then you remove your handle. Once you've removed your handle, what you're going to need is, out of your service kit, now you're going to need what we call the key. So this would be your key. So the purpose of this key is you slot it in there and you loosen. Once you loosen, it's got a little O-ring there, which you will remove, right? Let's put that aside. You've got your door O-ring, you've got a little O-ring there. We've got the star cover for your door. And then this is your door. So what you'll do is, once that is, you just remove the piston. That's your piston. Okay, and then your door, everything is disassembled. So now your door, you're able to wash it, all the parts of your door, right? Once we're done washing it, we've dried it off. What we're going to do is, the parts that we're going to need our lubricant once again. So we take a little lubricant. So you'll notice that on your piston you have 3 O-rings. There's 2 on the top and 1 at the bottom. So you just apply a generous amount of lubricant on them. Okay, then with your door standing up, what you're going to do is you're going to line, remember this is where your door goes, your handle goes in. So your O-rings facing down, you're going to press it in until it lines up. So it's going to line up, so that's where your your handle is going to go into the door. Then we're going to apply some lubricant to the little O-ring. Okay? Once that is done, we put the O-ring back in its place. So remember now, when you putting your cover back, the ridges, these ridges here, has to be on the outside. So what you'll do is you'll then turn your door upside down, and then your O-ring, as you can see there, your O-ring will face inward and your ridges will face out. Then you just tie it nicely. There we go. So that is now put into place. So what we're going to do is we're going to then fit your handle in. Okay, so now once your door, your piston and everything has been aligned, you're going to slip the handle in. Now look at how I'm putting the handle in. The handle has to face upward. Upward. Because when you're grabbing, you're going to pull downward. I'll show you that. And then once you've put that in place, you're going to slip the pin in, either that side or this side, whichever you prefer. That is just to keep the handle in place. Once we're done with that, we'll take a little lubricant, because now we've got one of the main parts, which is the O-ring, the door's O-ring. So what we're going to do is we're going to lubricate it nicely. And as I said, this is the back of the door. So we're going to put that O-ring right there. It fits in, so there your door is reassembled. Okay, so now that we've done the door, we've set that aside. So now we've got the beater. Okay, so now we're going to disassemble and reassemble the beater. I'll show you. That's the back of the beater and that's the front of it. So that's how it looks from a side angle. This is how it looks from the front angle. Okay, so this would be your rubber. We remove that like that. We remove the plastic blades. Bottom one. These are your blade covers. We remove those. Next blade cover, we remove that. Your rod, and the rod cover comes out. And there we go. Your beater has been disassembled. So you'll wash each and every component and dry it off once it's ready. Now we're going to put it back together. So what we have is, we've got the main beater. So what we then do is, we take this fitting here, it fits right in and it sits like that. Then you'll notice that this is your middle rod. So we've got a little plastic component there, okay? And then that is the front of it. So what it would do is, once your plastic part is in, you'll then slip your rod in. And what it will do is, right at the back, there's a little peg there, which goes into the middle of the rod to ensure that it does that. There we go. Then what we do is, your blade covers, this is the front of the blade cover, okay, and that's the back. So it has a little indent there. If you look at the blade here, you'll see that there's a little stud there. Move so we can see it nice and clearly. There we go. So what it does is, all you need to do is just slip it on the blade itself and into the stud, and it fits on just like that. So it's not blade specific. You can fit them. If you swap them around, they will still fit, because as long as they go into the notch, into the peg, this is what it will look like, right? So then we've got our plastic blades. You need to ensure that when you're reassembling your plastic blades, you'll notice there's those two pins there, these two pins. So what you'll then do is, you'll take your plastic blade. What you'll do is, you'll put them flat part outward. So the flat part, not the round part, the flat part needs to face outward, just like that. Then we fit the next blade just like that, flat part outward. So this is what it would look like once you're done fitting all your parts, right? Then we take our rubber. So now we need to, this rubber goes on the back of your beater. So what we do is, we take a generous amount, and what we do is, we lightly lubricate this rubber as well. Remember I said that your lubrication is important for all the rubbers, because you want to ensure that your rubbers last longer. So we apply some lubricant on them, just so that we can lubricate this, and then once we've done lubricating it, we'll then grab our beater, which is assembled. Okay. We've got that in place. So we've got our rod in place, then we put our rubber at the back, just like that, the wide part outward. Okay, it fits on. We put our blades back on. The other blade back on, and there we go. It's been reassembled. Okay, so now all that we need to do is, we need to put it back into the machine, which I'll show you in a second. Okay guys, so now that our beater is assembled, our door is assembled, we're just going to put everything back in. So what you're going to do is, as it is here, let me just zoom out a bit, show you. So as it is here, this is your beater. Right? That's your beater. So as I said, your rubber is the back. So what it does is, it just slips in with the blade showing, the flat part showing outward. You slip it right in. So now what I want you to notice is on the side, it's not completely flush. So what you do is once you put it in, you give it a little twist and then it fits back in. Your middle rod, you need to ensure that it is showing straight. Okay. So now that that is showing straight, now our beater is back in. So what we're going to do is we're going to then fit our door back in. So what we do is with our door assembled, just like this, it slips right on to the 4 rods. Okay. Once it slips on, we then start assembling your first screw. So you put your first screw on, just like that. There we go. Then we go to our second screw. Just like that. Second screw in. Okay, there we go. Then we do our third screw. And then our fourth screw. Okay, there we go. So what we've done is we've tightened. You need to ensure that it's nice and tight, because that then ensures that when you are making your ice cream, that your mix doesn't fall through. What I usually do is after I've cleaned it, because my hands had a little lubrication on, you give it a nice wipe. Nice wipe. The handle. You give it a nice wipe. There we go. There your door, your pump has been assembled. Okay, so now we're ready to produce ice cream. So now I'm going to show you with our pump and everything assembled. So upon your first use, I'm going to show you what the buttons are for. So your first button is your pump button. Okay, this button you use to activate the pump. So I'll press it so you can hear it. So that would activate your pump. So as soon as you put in mix into the hopper, I want you to take note that your hopper takes 5 liters of mix. So you pour 5 liters of mix into the hopper, then you press your pump button, which will then pump. It will fill your chamber, your middle chamber, it will fill halfway. So it should reach about there. Right. So that is what you use your pump button for. As soon as you've done cleaning it, you put 5 liters on top. It will, and then you use the first button to pump the mix into the bottom. The second button is your pasteurize button. You don't really need to make use of that because the machine automatically pasteurizes. Your third button would be your when you are cleaning the machine. So what you'll do is you pour water in. So after the 14 days, so what you do is you want to clean the ice cream machine, you then pour water into the top of the hopper. You'll remove your feeder pipe, and then what you'll do is you will then press your, so you'll see when I press that button, the beater within the chamber starts moving. So you'll wash the beater out with the soapy water that goes down, right? And then we'll stop that for now. Then your fourth button is for when you're making ice cream. Your fifth button, this is when you close shop. You don't need to switch off the machine. You can leave mix in the machine. You put it into sleep mode, into standby mode. Right? So what it does is it then keeps the machine, it tells the machine that I'm closing for the night, keep my product fresh. So during the holding period, what it will do is it will automatically pasteurize your machine. That is why I said you only need to clean your machine once every 14 days. So it will pasteurize your mix. It automatically does that through the night. And then the next morning, all you need to do is you'll press the stop button, then you'll press your ice cream button, which will then start your ice cream making process. The next button would be your stop button. That is just to stop all your functions. And then you've got up and down button, which is your hardness setting. So it starts from 1, you'll see it's 1, and it goes all the way up to 9. So depending on how hard you prefer the ice cream to be, you set it according to your hardness. Then the little red light flashing on and off, that would be your low mix indicator. So that tells you as soon as your hopper reaches 1 liter capacity, once it reaches 1 liter within the hopper, that light starts blinking because now it's notifying you I'm running low. You can then add 4 liters of mix into the hopper. Once the sensor inside the hopper is covered, that light will disappear. You need to ensure as soon as this light does appear that you top up your ice cream mix and do not dispense below 1 liter, or else your pump will start sucking up air, and the last thing you want is air in this baby. Once there's air in your chamber, you're going to receive a whole lot of error messages up here, and it won't produce the ice cream that you wanted to produce. Okay, so that's it. And then you've got your on and off button right here to switch the machine off. Let's just do that. You will see there. That's it. On again. And that's the Vulcan ice cream machine. Thank you for watching, guys. That is how you clean, disassemble, and reassemble the Vulcan ice cream machine.